Yo. Today, I would like to talk about my favorite fact. And to do that, we're going to speak on brainwaves and the Earth's Hertz. So, what do I mean by the Earth's Hertz? Well, the Earth's core is made of molten nickel and iron. It's hot and it spins very fast. And this energy creates the Earth's electromagnetic field. Now that's a field of a flowing current of electricity and magnetism that coats and protects the Earth. It protects it from cosmic radiation and it protects it from meteorites and comets and stuff like that, comet debris. So our brain has electricity too, and that's measured in hertz or frequency. Our neurons and our synapses, the space between our brain cells, when the activity is going on in our brain, it creates electricity, and that electricity cascades and flows through our brain. A wave traveling from one end of the brain to the other, and coming back around in a second is a hertz, right? So we detect these waves in our brains with electroencephalograph machines. They're basically electrodes that are put onto the head, and then the data of the movement of all the electricity in our brain is fed to a machine that shows us the wavelengths, the frequency of the electricity going around and around in our brain. So in the psychology sciences, we divide these different frequencies or the speed of the electricity. We call them brain waves, and we divide them into different categories. So the first category and the most common category is beta. Beta is anywhere from like 30. I mean, it can be higher, but typically humans are anywhere from 30 to about 13 hertz. Those brain waves are typically associated with quick thinking, activity, being in an alert state. We're talking like driving, working, chores, just everyday activity and conversation. The next one down is the one that I really want to focus on, and that is alpha waves. So alpha is anywhere from 13 to 7.57-ish. Depending on which scientist you ask, wavelengths in our brain. So the alpha waves are typically more associated with relaxed and meditative states. We're talking calmer than beta, but not sleepy or drowsy yet. Interestingly, scientists have found surprising correlations when measuring the brainwaves of expert athletes, musicians, even medical practitioners, surgeons, people who excel in meditation. There have been surprising findings when it comes to measuring their alpha waves. What we find is that when people are doing these specialized tasks and excelling at them, they tend to exhibit low wave alpha waves, usually anywhere between like 8 and like 7. What is interesting about the repeat findings that people who are doing exemplary things, we're talking high percentile of success in their given task. We're talking business, musicians, athletes, things like that. People performing to that level are often found having these lower brainwaves. And on top of that, this is a particularly interesting study I found in college. The people who have more ritualized activities, I'm thinking like athletes, they tend to be able to get into those states more efficiently. So we're talking about a golf player who every single time he gets to the drive, he touches his hat in a certain way, he touches his elbow in a certain way, his other elbow in a certain way, and then chokes up in the exact same way every single time, and then manages to nail the shot every single time or close to it. There are cricket players, baseball players, basketball players that I'm sure if you're into sports you can think of who have specialized rituals that they do before they perform. And it's been found that oftentimes the people doing these rituals are actually lowering their brainwave cycles and finding easier or more efficient ways to get into that alpha wave state, that low wave state. So the next down is theta, but theta is like sleepy, drowsy, light sleep kind of brainwaves, and they're not really interesting for this particular point that I want to make, so we're going to move on. So how are the brainwaves, your brainwaves, and the Earth's electromagnetic field related? Well, the field of the Earth remains about constant. It moves at about the same speed all the time. However, our brain waves can speed up and speed down based on various different things. So bear with me here because I'm going to throw a little math at you. So the Earth is about 40,000 kilometers around and about like 24,800 miles around. The electricity that moves in your brain and the electricity that moves around the Earth, it moves at around the speed of light. And that speed is 300,000 kilometers a second, or 186,000 miles per second, if you're into that kind of thing. If you take the speed of light, the speed of the electricity, and divide it by the circumference of the Earth, you will arrive at exactly 7.5 cycles per second. That is the same frequency as a human brain that is in the low end of alpha waves, which is 7.5. 7.5, 7.5. And so when your brain waves are at that level, they are synchronized with the electromagnetism of the planet itself. And it seems between creativity, athleticism, focus, and extraordinary performance, it at least appears that there are some effects to be drawn from this. Thank you, everyone. I hope you had a happy eclipse.